Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Latina Leadership Series. I am your host, Angelica Casares, and today I have Elvia Quintanilla. Elvia, thank you so much for taking the time to come on here and talking to me. I was telling you right before this that I've been following you. I have this bad habit that I usually won't start recording it until I do a little deep dive until I want to know. But I this time I was like, you know what? I'm gonna capture it on here. I've never met you. I've seen you on social. I think I came across you. You were at I think at a conference and I think you were tagged as being recognized, I think. And then I was like, I wonder who these usually I look in and I'm like, who are these people? I like, what do they do and what are they doing in my community? Because I live in Houston. Right now, I'm in Northwest Arkansas. For people who don't know, I'm currently in Northwest Arkansas, living here, living it up for a little bit. But I want to know, especially Latinas, what are you doing? And so I was digging into your profile a little bit, and I was like, she owns a trade company. School. Wait, what kind? I was like, electricity. I was like, hold on. I have all the
Yes.
questions. I have all the questions. And you told me earlier, you have the answers. So let me start here. Okay, ¿de dónde eres? Where are you from?
I was born in Houston, Texas, but majority, I would say at least half of my young adult life, I lived in Fort Worth, Texas, next to Dallas.
Uh-huh.
And I came back to Houston about 9 years ago, where all of this career started that I didn't know was going to jumpstart me to where I am now.
Uh-huh.
But my parents are from Mexico, so and we
Mm.
go, and I'm very in touch with my roots.
Yeah.
So Mexican American, we go to
Woo.
Mexico a lot, and half of my family is still over there. So,
Mhm.
I speak fluent Spanish, and I love helping my people. All the underserved community, I consider my people.
Yes, yes. We all know that we know that struggle. That struggle is completely for real. So, okay. So you came back to Houston.
Mhm.
How? Oh, first of all, where in Houston do you live?
I live in Clear Lake now, but I when I moved here, it was right here in South Houston where my school is at, and I always
Okay.
like the area as far as
Yeah.
where the need is, where we can help our young adults. That's where I wanted to start my school at.
Okay, usually I ask that question, where are you like located, because I have a better understanding. So I was born and raised in Houston, Texas. I never left. I live a block away from my mom. I don't know if you ever heard of the neighborhood called Denver Harbor.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
that's where we grew up as well because I have family that's all
Yeah.
here. So when we would come visit, we would stay with my uncles, and they
Uh-huh.
lived in Denver Harbor. So that's where I grew up
That's
too.
okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's where I'm from. I born and raised. I that's where I know to be, and I have a really good understanding of the Houston area and like what people where they're based on where they're at. I can kind of tell, like, you know how you can just tell like where they're from and kind of their upbringing, and if it was different or if the neighborhood was different back in the day. Southeast is definitely I don't know how old you are, and I'm not going to ask either, but back in the day, that was a place. And so was North Side, and so was the East Side, and it was, and all that encompassing places. How did you? Okay, knowing that, how did you get started? So, how did you start? Why a trade school? How electricity? And as a woman, that's not something you see. That's not something you hear. It's usually a white male dominated space. How did
Very
you end up
much.
there?
So it was all. I'm a very Christian, believe in God. So my thing is always everything happens for a reason. There's a
Hmm.
bigger purpose. And, at that time, I didn't understand it and I didn't think that way. But, developing, going through the things that we go through, and you change your mindset and you see, well, this is really what all of this was for, because
Mm.
I am definitely doing what I love to do. It's my passion. And I'm lucky enough to make it a business, and it's helping people has always been my passion, and business is my second. So putting it together was just amazing for me. But definitely what happened, and I got into it just because coincidence. Um, I came from Fort Worth when I separated from my ex-husband. So we were young. We got married when we were 18, had a kid at 17, did all those things that, you think you know what you're doing, and
Yeah.
you think this is what you want, and you
Yeah.
think this is where happiness is always going to be. And then you go into, well, reality hits it. Life is harder than we think that it is. So once I got separated, my family lived here already, so I knew that I didn't want to stay over there because unfortunately I didn't have family over there. So it was just mainly my friends and um, my son's father's family, which I'm still very close to, and I love them
Mhm.
very much. Shout out to them. They're definitely, my son is there right now for the summer. So when we separate, I moved to Houston, and I went to Workforce Solutions and try to get a job, and they recommended me to a school that needed a customer service rep. And I said, I just need a job. I just want to work. So I went in there and I applied for the position, and I got hired on the spot. And because I remember when my boss told me that day, he was like, well, what are you going to bring to the table? Why are you a good candidate? And I said, well, how about you let me show you? And because I
Uh-huh.
can tell you exactly what I can do, but it's better if I can show you. And then he was like, that is what made me hire you. And
Uh-huh.
ever since then, I was there for almost 8 years, and I grew from customer service to assistant to head of admissions, from manager, and then to assistant director, directly his right hand woman. They say man, but a woman.
Uh-huh.
And he taught me everything there was to know about the field. And I fell in love with the job. I fell in love with the purpose that and how you can help so many people get out of, those situations that they don't think that they can get out economically.
Mhm.
Helping people, giving them scholarships, giving them a trade and then a job. That's
Mhm.
life changing. So,
It is.
so I really fell in love with it, and that's really how I got started. As far as the job.
Yeah. Okay. So how so you started being with him. You directly own the trade school, the electrical trade
Yes.
school.
So 2 years ago, I when I left that company, we parted ways. I'm very for helping people. I'm very for, it's not about the money, it's about who we're helping, it's about who we're changing. So when it started to not be that way anymore, I was
Okay.
like, okay, this is not my purpose anymore. This is not fulfilling me anymore. I was great, making great money, but
Mhm.
again, it's not about the money, it's about who you help and how you can help, and giving back and still making money. So
Mhm.
once we stopped doing that, I was like, okay, we got to part ways. This is not going to work out anymore. I respect you and I thank you for everything you've done, but I just can't. We're not agreeing anymore. So
Yeah.
that happened in 2020, right when COVID started, like
Uh-huh.
maybe 3 months in. So in July of 2020, I left, and I didn't have the idea that I wanted to start my school. I had an idea. I was like, what? I'll go work for another school.
Mhm.
I'll look into it. Maybe I can be a customer service rep there and work my way up again. And then, a lot of people were like, well, Elvia, you've been running this school for so long. Why don't you just do it for yourself? And I had the thought, but I didn't fully think about it. I was just like, I don't really want to. You probably need so much money and so many investors and so many things, which you do need money, but that came within the struggles as well. um, but I just decided to go for it. I told myself, either I do it and I fail, but I know that I did it, or if I don't do it and I'm gonna regret it for the rest of my life. I know it sounds cliche, but that's usually but it really is like that. I told myself, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was like, I want to run a school. I know what people need. I know what these kids need. I call everybody kids. There's
Mhm.
anybody 17 and older. But I know what these students need. I know, as far as I'm very passionate about the way that people learn. It's not one type of learning, it's multiple type of learnings. There's kinetic learners, there's visual learners, there's listeners, and we're forgetting about the kids that are kinetic learners, that go into drugs, that go into jail, that go into gangs, because they've been told that, okay, well, you can't take a test, you don't know how to pass it, then you're not going to be successful in life. No, that's
Mhm.
not right. They're visual and hands-on learners. And
Yeah.
that's where one of my other passions, where I go into about
Yeah.
helping people. So really, in a nutshell, like, that's, I just started in 2022, I'm sorry, 2020. And from there, I started doing my application, started doing my process. It was a lot of learning experiences, lots of money for the experience, because it was my first time ever trying to open a school. I ran one, but I never opened one.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of, a lot of obstacles.
Yeah.
So, and now a year ago, we got approved by the state. So I started my business in 2020. I didn't get anything done because it takes a process until 2021. In August, I got approved by the state. Now we can have students. Now we can advertise. And fast forward to today, 3 months ago, we just started our first classes. We have about 20 students. Mhm.
You have about 20 students. So you've been open for you started 2 years ago. Oh, really quick. For those who don't understand what kinetic learning is, it's those who usually it's the people who don't test well but do really well like in grade, right? They do really well and they don't test well. And so they end up failing like classes. And of course that's like a big hit to your you know you're you're not stupid, like you understand things, and sometimes you even understand them faster than other people can get it. You connect dots way before anybody else does, but you just don't test well, right?
Mhm.
Those are kinetic learners, I'm sorry, excuse me. So you have the space, you started a year ago, you have 20 students now. How many students have you but do you believe you have impacted like directly, like so far?
Well, so I would say I impacted all my students directly because um, 95% of them receive a full scholarship without having to pay anything out of pocket. So that within itself, it's an impact because they thought they weren't going to go to college, university, and then they think that they can't do anything else, and there's nothing else out there for them. And then
Mm-hmm.
they know about our school, and then they found out and they got a full scholarship thanks to Career Team Workforce Solutions. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of our partners that scholarship, and because of their obstacles, because of the underserved community they live in, or because of the resources. So that was a big thing. And so I would say that within itself is an impact. And we just
Mm-hmm.
had our first graduating class last week on Thursday.
Uh-huh.
So we're working with those
Yeah.
young adults and women to make sure that they get hired now. So once they
Uh-huh.
get hired, which they should be within the next 3 weeks or
Uh-huh.
less, it's going to be even more of an impact because now they're
Yeah.
helping sustain their families.
Yeah.
So I would say, in my opinion, all of them have been impacted.
I
Mhm.
think I read somewhere that when you directly impact one person, I believe you impact indirectly, you impact like four or five.
That's
So
awesome.
I,
That makes me feel
yeah,
good.
it is, because it's where their household is at. It's the money that's coming in. Now they can afford like simple things. Even if you go to like a low income, say a low income like clinic, and you still have to pay like I think there's like 40, $60. Some people don't go because they can't afford that. Imagine
Hmm.
being get paid like over average. I'm not sure how I'm an electrician, but I remember my brother's an electrician, and I think he said the starting pay is like at 18, $20, and I was like, that's way
16
above
to
like
$20.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Hmm.
And I was like, that's way above like what people are getting paid. So that allows them to like be able to afford things like that, like medical care,
Hmm.
being able to pre-diagnose like things before they even get it, right? Before they end up at I don't know, at the where what do they say? Would they end up at the emergency rooms, and they end up impacting the actual state and like the funds of the state within themselves. And I'm like, well, wouldn't it make sense to pay them just a little bit more? And especially for like a trade, somebody who's very specific in their field, somebody who
Yes.
can actually I we me and my husband we were in when the freeze happened. Everybody noticed that plumbers, master plumbers, were in dire need, whoa, to begin with. And then after that, people were not seeing plumbers for like 2 months in because there is no more, it's a fading like thing. Trade schools and trades themselves are a fading like thing. Everybody wants to get behind the computer. It's fine.
Definitely. Hmm.
But so,
And
I mean, can you tell me a little bit about that? Like the trade schools and the necessary need and the dire need of them?
definitely. Well, that's one of my passions is not just having this business and having a school and helping the ones that I have, but going back to the source where it needs to start in the high schools and the middle schools, because it's been taken out of a lot of schools, trades, and home economics, carpentry. My son goes to Clear Lake ISD and they have welding. Awesome. But there's a lot of schools that don't have that. And that is a we have a lot of people that are retiring from these trades like electrical, HVAC, plumbing, welding, and we don't have enough new generation going in. So therefore, they're already seeing the statistics of how much it's going to impact us. It's already impacting us now, but it's going to impact us even more if we don't get these skilled trades, people to study and then get certified and go back to work into it. But also, and it's because it's at its source. We don't push it in high schools. We don't push it in middle schools. We standardize test everybody. And I'm not saying that tests are bad. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying that we have to understand that not everybody is the same as far as the way that they learn. So, you know,
Mhm.
mentally, kids in that stage, they take everything and they believe it. So when you're telling a kid, I was like, okay, well, you need to do better because you're failing your class, you're failing your test, and you need to do better because you don't, you're not a tester, or you don't have a college plan, you don't have a university plan. What are you doing? They're already not going to voice it. They're just going to shut down, and they're going to say, well, crap, I'm doing everything wrong. What am I doing wrong? I'm not going to ask for help. I'm embarrassed. That's how I thought when I was a young adult, so I'm thinking that's what they're thinking too. So we as adults have to tell them and encourage them to do the path that they desire, that is in education, because education is amazing. You should do education, but what length you're going to do, that's depending on the person. It can either be a certificate, it can be a license, it can be associates, a bachelor's, a PhD. We need everybody to be in those levels, but not everybody is in those levels. So we need to understand that we need to let people decide how they're going to want to learn, and because that's their passion, and then they're going to do better at a job. So that to me is getting it back into the high schools and middle schools if it's possible, talking about trade schools, not making them seem like they're just a job. No, it's a profession. It's a job that gets you into a career. It's not a job, and not saying anything bad, in McDonald's. It's not a job at Jack in the Box, not a job as a waitress, as a waiter. Those are jobs that are temporary. They're not supposed to be long
They're
term. You
stepping
cannot make
stones.
it
Yep.
long term.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So you go into and you get a degree or you get a certificate, and from there, now you're doing better for yourself. So when we talk to kids and we tell them, well, you're going to college, university, we don't say or a trade school. We don't say or a certificate. We say just a certificate or just a trade school, and then
Yeah.
now we're getting a negative connotation to it. So I feel like that is one of the biggest things. People glamorize the corporate world, which is awesome, yes, but you can be an entrepreneur a lot faster in a trade than you can working in a corporate job.
Yeah.
Being honest, that
Yeah.
this what I'm doing is a trade within itself, business and schools. And you know, I didn't go to school for this. There's no school for it. I learned it hands on because that's the type of learner I am as well. But this our students can be master electricians within 6 to 7 years. They come in here when they're 18. By 27, you have your own company, you're a master electrician making hundreds of thousands or more,
Yeah.
because that's how much that there is potential for.
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
can tell, I'm very passionate. Sorry.
No, no, you are, and I like that. I love that. I love that. I was having a conversation with a friend, and we were talking about having trades, and he's like, yeah, if I would go back, and I would be. Oh, now I'm gonna call him out. Okay, whatever. So he was like, if I could go, I would go back and get a trade. I was like, yeah. I was like, okay. So here's the thing. Here's the deal with trades. I was like, it does take a toll on you, but you have to understand that sometimes even that you can open your own thing, and it's a skill that you can keep showing somebody else to do. It's something that you can keep doing. I was like, but I was like, it takes a toll on your body if you're at it for 30, 40 years. So you want to keep showing those, and then hopefully at some point, you want to have been able to do more or do something else. For example, I think some people believe that um in my opinion, I think that some people believe that like leadership skills can only be done like within the corporate space, or you can show leadership or you can show management. Leadership skills can be taken, those leadership skills, and redirected in all sorts of other places. um
Mhm.
for the most part, I mean, and sincerely I believe that. It's maybe you don't have a passion for electricity, maybe you don't have a passion for plumbing, but you have a passion for business, you have a passion for leadership, and you can get people do some things that they're either weren't capable of doing or didn't want to do, or just I don't know, you can use all sorts of skill sets in a place like that. So okay, I can go down that rabbit hole. I love talking about
No, I
leadership.
completely agree. And as we do incorporate leadership into our daily talks with our students, as far as our electrical engineer who's teaching them, he tells them, he's retired. He worked for Centerpoint Energy for 40 plus years. He was a lineman, then became an
Yeah.
electrical engineer. You take career paths. We tell them, you may not want to be an electrical technician your whole life. You may want to be an engineer. You may want to be a lineman. You may want to be just residential, just commercial. You take that's what people don't understand, that we need to let these young adults choose what makes them happy. Nobody's super happy when they go to work. I understand that, but I'm saying that they want to get up, that they want to be better, that they want to excel, that they want to improve. And we incorporate that. We tell them, as long as you have good work ethic, as long as you're loyal, as far as you show up and you're committed, companies are dying for that more than the
Hmm.
trades itself, because
Hmm.
we don't have all of that anymore. Our children are coming out of high school thinking things are going to get handed to them, and then, oh, I deserve this, I deserve. No, sir, ma'am, you don't deserve that. You work for that, and then you get where you need to go. So we do instill those things into our classroom. We're talking to them about safety. We're talking about to them about financial literacy, and then we're also talking to them about entrepreneurship. We tell them, you're not going to go work on your own right now, but I want to see you back in 6 years telling me that you have your own company. I don't want you to stop and work for somebody your whole life. Now, if this is not what you want to do, I understand it, but if it is, you go to the top. That's what I
Hmm.
want you to do, because that's what's going to make me happy. You having that freedom, you being able to do something you love, and then you can help your family with. So we do instill these things into
Yeah.
the students that we have as well.
Well, the knowledge that you're going to be able to take away, that knowledge you're not, I mean, it's going to be sort of like, it's a thing that you already know. It's a thing that it's automatic, the thing that you know. It's something that you can go back to. Like if you're like, oh, I want to try something else, guess what? You can come back to whatever it is that you were doing prior to this, because you already have a skill. It's a skill set that nobody's going to take away. The same way somebody can't take away diploma, nobody can take away your skill set. Nobody can take away the knowledge that you actually earned, and that wherever it is that you learned it, or however it is that you learned it, you can always use that and reuse that for something else. And you could take the skills that you learned in one place and whatever certificate you have, and move that and be able to redirect that to something completely separate.
Definitely,
I
that's
love
one of
I
my
love your message. I love it.
that's
Go ahead.
one of my quotes that I like to say a lot is, invest in yourself. Education can never be taken from you. So that's an investment you always want to make 100%, because it's never going to decrease in value. If
Yeah.
anything, it's going to increase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that. I love it. Elia, I'm gonna put you in my pocket. I'm gonna be honest. Elia said
Thank
this.
you. I
Elia
appreciate
said
it.
this. She said this. Okay. So I'm gonna bring the conversation back to a little bit. So I want to get to know you a little bit. Usually on here I ask a lot of my guests, um have you ever met resistance in the space, or have you ever met resistance in a position that you were in, where you were like, what did I do, and what do I do now, and how did you come out of it?
Within the field, definitely, there's been a lot of resistance, not just. Oh, it started when I started working at a school. Period. Being taken serious, being a woman in a male dominant field. When I first started, it was customer service. That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Talk to people, help people, and that's awesome. But we can do more. So. I was great at my job. I like to talk to people, as you can tell. I love to talk. So it was really good when I got put into admissions. I started there, but
Mm.
growing from that, it took a lot of me, like, hey, I'm doing this, hey, I want to do this, hey, listen to me, this is what we should do. But you don't get taken serious. They're like, okay, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, that's right. Then you listen and they're like, oh wow, this is awesome. Yes, because I'm with the people in the floor, with the students, with the teachers, with everybody. So I know what that person needs, I know what the student needs, and it's all different because not everybody is the same. One student has obstacles of not having transportation, the other one has obstacle that doesn't have parents, and he's going through other things. So
Mm.
I can't treat all my students the same. So we have to, one-on-one with students, and having that small classroom, ratio to teacher is very important when you're doing hands-on training, and also when you're trying to instill other ethics into these young adults, because they want to be heard.
Yeah.
They're not going to talk, but they want to be heard when they do talk, because they're already taking that risk of, let me ask for something, or
Yeah.
let me say what I do need. So that within itself, a lot of the times I would present things, and people would just look at me like, okay, who are you, or what are you doing? Or I'll go to board meetings with other, not within the school, but board meetings within other organizations, and they will see me and they're like, I thought you were way older, or I thought you would look different, or and I mean, within that sense, I know what they were talking about, and I
Hmm.
never took it to heart. But eventually, si te cala un poquito, like you
Hmm.
start, saying like, well, what do you, I thank you because you think, I do look young to you, but what was I supposed to look like?
Yeah.
I think those things, people don't understand that it has an impact when they talk to you. Um, but it fueled me because I've always been very hard headed, and it fueled me to say, okay, so you don't expect this from me, but I'm showing you different. Now, within the field that I am in now, that I own my school, it's 10 times harder, because now I'm not, okay, the school is this owner right here, and then I'm helping him do this. No, now it's mine. So when I present myself to sometimes employers that are electricians or they're big company, they tell me, okay, well, how, you're not even an electrician, so how do you know what we need? And I said, I understand. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, but um, I know the business of schools. I know what students need in order to learn whatever specific thing we're teaching. Now that's why I have a electrical engineer teaching the electrical part, because he knows what he's doing. So if you will let me speak to you, I can definitely tell you how we're different from other schools, how we do hands-on training. We cannot do hands-on training. I'm sorry, we cannot do virtual for hands-on training programs. Like a lot of schools, and I'm all for technology. A lot
Hmm.
of schools are just doing virtual. And
Hmm.
it's awesome if you're doing paralegal. It's awesome if you're doing IT or coding or engineering. But it's not awesome if you're going to be an electrician or HVAC technician or plumber, because when you touch and you start working with the wires, there's no virtual program. I don't care if it is high definition, not high definition, that is going to prepare you for that confidence that you have once you touch that material, once you get familiarized with it, and that starts building your skill set. So
Yeah.
a lot of that is, a lot of pushback from employers.
I see what you're saying. One of the things that I like, I'm already thinking, I'm like, it doesn't make any sense because problems arise like on field. The problems can
Mhm.
be, how can you, how can you, how can you solve the problem if you don't even know if the problem is there? If the whoever's teaching the class like virtually knows what they're doing, so how can the amateur ask the question? Like the circumstance and the situation isn't going to be the same every time.
Exactly.
It's so how do you answer questions and then you're already on the field and you have to troubleshoot yourself, but you don't even know how to troubleshoot because nobody told you how to troubleshoot the situation. So I
Exactly.
think yeah, there are some schools that have to be hands on, even like learning, even like math. It has to be like for me, it has to be in person. You can show me over and over and over, but I have to be able to ask you 10,000 questions.
Every time I would go to a new job, or the times that I got hired for a different position, I will always tell my hiring manager or my trainee who was training me, I would tell them, I am a very quick learner, but the fastest way that I learn is by me seeing you do it once, and then I would do it myself and mess up, because I am gonna mess up, and then I'll follow my what I saw, and then you can go from there, and then that's how I'm learning. So a
Uh-huh.
lot of the times, we don't understand that. We're like, no, you got to learn this way. We
Mhm.
we can't do that. We want to help, but we don't want to change the way that we're
Yeah.
doing things. So we
Yeah.
have to understand that, maybe the ways that we're teaching trades is not the best way. And
Mhm.
I'm talking about the whole scope of it, on
Okay.
one specific trade.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about one specific school. I'm talking about in the United States, the way they're teaching trades, in most of the schools are not distant learning is not the way. And
Okay.
that's one of my things that I've been seeing and it's a lot of the pushback of why students can't get hired onto a job, and why employers have that perception of students that, okay, yeah, you went to a school and get a certificate, you don't know anything. Well, yes, they don't know anything because unfortunately the school didn't do what they were supposed to do for that student. It's not the student's fault.
Mm,
So when I go to talk to an employer, I tell them, come see my school, come look at
mhm,
what my students are doing, come, when classes are here so you can see
mhm.
exactly what they're doing. And they were like, okay, it takes time, but then they come and they're like, this is amazing, we need more of this. And I'm like, that's what I'm trying to do, that's what I'm trying to push. So
That's what I'm
now
telling you, man. That's what, of course, this
that's
is what we need.
and, and they're like, oh, you do know what you're talking about. Well, yes, I do. I'm not just trying to tell a
Uh,
kid, hey, come take a chance on me. No, this is your future, this is your education. I am very I'm very, very direct and passionate, and very strict on my business, because I'm changing people's life. It's not just one, they're not purchasing one thing and they're like, okay, maybe I
mhm,
can return it. No, this is your time you're investing, and some of them their money, and I'm going to make sure that you get everything back, because I want you to be successful. And when my son goes to school, he's
mhm,
14 now, I
mhm.
want somebody to treat him the same way that I'm treating you. I want, and I believe that we need more of that. You know, hey, you don't want to go to university? Awesome. Okay, well, here are some trade schools. Have you ever looked into some trades? This may be something more up your alley. So, yeah, that's a lot of
It's
that.
you, Elvia. You're bringing back something. It sounds like there's a little bit of old school that needs to be brought to the future. There's a little
Yes.
bit of that. There is definitely
Principles.
a principles, yes,
Mm-hmm.
principles, and a little bit of ethics, a little bit of you don't know everything, and this right here, like I'm interviewing you through this. This is awesome, but like if I want to teach you like how to do what I'm doing now, you'd have to be here for me to show you. So
Mm-hmm.
some things make sense, some things don't, some things do. Um, but bringing that old school mentality, bringing that old school thing, you took me back, and I was like, you know what? Actually, that is true. You know what? I was a better learner when I was a kid. And I'm wonder. I always thought I was like, oh, I'm just getting older, and I'm not like I'm not there. I'm not all
Our
there
mind
anymore.
doesn't capture everything as fast anymore. Now we got to actually like zone in and read it and reread it. I'm
Yeah.
the same way. I used to read books a lot. I was never really like super, when people tell me, oh man, have you ever been into, always been so passionate about education? No, I have not. And when I was a young adult, I was not. I'm going to be realistic. I'm not going
Yeah.
to sit here and say I was top of my,
Me
well, I
either.
was top of my class, but I wasn't, valedictorian or anything like that. And I didn't go to college. I went to college and I dropped out twice, but I didn't go to college. And that is why whenever somebody tells me you have to go to college or you go to university, I'm like, no, you don't. If that's not what you want to do. But
Mm-hmm.
if you do want to be an engineer, yes, you have to go to college. But if
Mm-hmm.
you want to do a trade, no, you don't have to go to college. You want to be an entrepreneur? No, you don't have to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
You have to work hard, and you have to have good work ethic, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
want to keep learning. Learning is never ending. You are always going to be learning. I'm always learning, and I've learned even more things about the trade that I've been in for 8 years now. Every day I learn something new. So it's about instilling all of that and being
Yeah.
able to let people do that for
Yeah.
themselves.
You know what, Aria? Thank you for sharing that part of that conversation that you just happened to mention about going to school and then not just going through with it. I think a lot of Latinas, one of my things, my passion is education is I guess standard education. A lot of Latinas they hold back on telling me something like that, but thank you for sharing that, where they do go to school and sometimes they just don't finish out the degree or they don't finish out the diploma for other things, other reasons. Sometimes we have families, things happen. Thank you for sharing that. Not I
No,
usually hear that
yeah,
later. Yeah.
definitely. No, the reason why I didn't, and it wasn't because I didn't love school. I do
Yeah.
like learning. That's one thing I do. I have always loved learning. But when I went in, I graduated high school. I got pregnant like 2 months after that. And I wanted to go to law school. That's where I wanted. I wanted to go to Baylor University, be a lawyer. That's what I
Mhm.
wanted to do. I always loved business and I always loved law. And
Mhm.
so when I didn't do that, I was like, okay, now I'm gonna settle for community college. That's what I told myself. I'll take my basics. And then, I'm 6 months pregnant and I'm just like, this is awkward. This feels weird because I'm a new mom. I'm trying
Yeah.
to understand what is happening with me and understand, my relationship, my
Yeah.
marriage at so young age. So I was like, this is not something that I want to do right now. So I quit. Then when
Mhm.
I got to Houston 8 years ago, I went through a scholarship through Workforce Solutions and got petroleum engineering technician. That's what I decided to do at ACC,
Uh-huh.
which is an amazing program, and it was
Uh-huh.
fully paid for a scholarship. But then I started getting more duties and responsibility at my job, which was at the school, and I was like, okay, well, if I can grow here, it'll be better because I don't have to travel. And over
Uh-huh.
here, I will have to travel, unfortunately, and I have a
Uh,
young son that's six
yeah.
at the time, and I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to do that, so I quit again. But
Mhm.
never did I feel that, okay, I'm not doing something.
Yeah.
I'm still going to do something. I'm still going to
Yeah.
learn.
Oh
But I
yeah.
just had to make a decision. But yes, there's a lot of people that do say that, well, you don't
Mhm.
even have a degree. How are you going to be able to do it? Because I have ganas. I have, hustle.
Right.
I grew
First of
up
all, because I don't
in
need a
the,
degree. Second of all, because
exactly.
fuck, I've seen. I know it's true. Some people who do have the degrees and they just have them. They just sometimes they're not even in the field with the degrees that they get, and sometimes
They're
for
in
me
debt.
it's for me it's all vanity for myself. Like I just so I like finished like my associates, and then I needed my I just want my bachelor's, and at this point it's just about um it is vanity for me because I just want it. I
It's an
feel
accomplishment for you as well, though,
yeah.
because me myself, I told myself, once my business is good and running and it can sustain itself with the people that I'm able to hire in the future, I want to go to law school and be a corporate law. That's what I want to do. I want to do it for myself. I don't want to do it for anybody else. I don't want to do it because I'm going to open up a practice. But
Uh-huh.
I want to tell myself, you know what? You may not have done it when you were 17, when you told yourself you were going to do it.
When
But
you're
prove to
supposed to do
myself
it.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to do it, but because I want to, because that's what is my passion, and I want to prove to myself that, you know what, I can still do that.
Yeah.
So again, it's not that I'm against education and
Yeah.
higher education as far as engineering. I'm just against people telling you what you should do in the way that they want to do it. You should
Yeah.
be able to choose what you want to do. If you want to do a certificate, feel good about it and go to work, or you
Yeah.
want to get a PhD and do
Yeah,
the same thing. It's
people
fine.
think they have a golden standard for things, and the golden standard doesn't work out for everybody. And maybe we should stop pushing that golden standard that right out of high school is this, or right out of this is that, or right or whatever. I have a son right now. He didn't know what he wanted to do, and I was like, "Good, you're getting your education. You're getting your higher education right out of high school." He's like, "Well, I don't know what I want to do," and I was like, "Okay, well, you're going to keep studying until you figure it out, until something happens,
Exactly.
until something appears for you." I was like, and after that, I was like, because I was like, you have to keep going. Whatever you do, you have to keep moving, even if you move side or you move back. If you take a break, it's for your mental health, or if it's for your well-being, or it's maybe you're sick. I was like, but you have to understand what you're doing and why you're doing the things you're doing. There has to be reason
Hmm.
behind what you're doing. um like my mind is just like running like
And trying new
10,000.
things, trust me, I am the same way. And trying new things is where you find your passion.
Yeah.
When you go into something that you're told to do and you do it and you're just doing it because somebody's telling you, you're not going to find your passion because you're not doing what you want to do. So me, I never in a million years thought that this is what I was going to do growing up. I knew it was
Mhm.
something with business, but I never knew it was a possibility. I didn't even dream it because it was so far fetched for me that I would own a trade school approved by the
Yeah.
state of Texas. I never, ever thought that. Even when I started working there, I never thought that.
Uh-huh.
And now seeing it happen and seeing how many people I can help and fully feeling that fulfillment of my purpose is like, wow, God does everything for a reason.
Yeah.
We may not understand it,
Mhm.
but He prepares us for where we need to go. And it's not going to be easy. And I mean, I'll tell you a little bit more about my upbringing. It's not, horrible. It doesn't need to be horrible, but my struggles were my struggles, and they felt like struggles to me. So in my eyes, that is what happened to me, and I overcame those struggles, and I feel
Yeah.
that is why I am the person that I am today.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay, so when you talk about struggles in the past, do you feel how did you overcome them? Because I do have a lot of women who are older than us, and or our age, and they do have young daughters a little bit. How did you overcome those struggles like younger? Because sometimes for you, I don't know, as me, I started having a lot of issues. I didn't know that there were issues, but I knew there were issues, but I didn't like, it didn't dawn on me until like I was about 11, 12, or 13 that there were real life issues. And it took forever to like trying to overcome them. How did you recognize them, or how did you overcome them, or what do you do to be like, okay, you know what? This has to stay here and I have to move forward because I have to, life goes on. Or did that ever
I
happen with you?
think yes, it's happened multiple times with different type stages of my life, with different things that happen in my life. Now I'm dealing with other things that are
Yeah.
in this stage, but growing up, I have great parents. So I never we've been always very family oriented, but the way that I understand that now. When I was younger, I didn't understand it. There was
Okay.
a lot of fighting at the house, a lot of you know. Not communication. So whenever you're young, you see that, you think that's how you're supposed to speak as well, or how you're supposed to react to problems, and just shout, and oh, we're not doing this. So growing up, it was a little bit of a struggle, because one, the my parents didn't speak any English, so
Hmm.
it was hard for us to do a lot of those things, because they didn't understand what was going on, so they would just say, no, we're not doing it because we don't understand it. And so that was one of it. But so then, seeing that, unfortunately, the violence and the
Yeah.
yelling at the in the household, growing up, and you don't understand it, that makes you be resilient. And unfortunately, you shouldn't have to go through that to be resilient, but that's what happened. I didn't have any brothers. I have four sisters. So whenever our argument would arise, I would be the one to be like, hey, let's not do this. This is not right. I've always been that person that speaks up for somebody that is
Hmm.
not, um, okay.
Yeah.
Anywhere, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if I know you or don't know you. If I see injustice, I have to say something. I always, and I think it's just because I always saw my parents, they didn't know any
Yeah.
English. So whenever somebody would try to talk to them like they were dumb, I would say, excuse me, they're not dumb, but they know what they don't know English, but you don't
Hmm.
need to be disrespectful,
Yeah.
because they're still capable of understanding what they need to do if I can just translate to them. So that is, I think, what started me being the type of person that I am today.
Yeah.
And so that within itself, I left my house when I was 16,
Hmm.
because I didn't want to see any of that anymore. I was just so tired of us in a mental my mental health was really bad. Nobody knew. I never told my parents. Everybody always saw Elvia as that strong, independent person. I've always been. But even when you are strong and independent, that doesn't mean that you don't need somebody to tell you, hey, everything is going to be okay.
Hmm.
So growing up, I felt very alone, and nobody even saw that, because I always had a smile. I was always outgoing. I was always in a sport. But that's what people didn't understand. I had to be surrounded by people so I wouldn't be in my own thoughts.
Yeah.
So people didn't know that. So I left my house at 16. My parents lived in Houston. I lived in Fort Worth with my older sister that had just got out of the military. And I told her, please let me live with you. I just want to graduate with my friends, because my parents had separated, and one
Hmm.
went to Houston, the other one stayed in Dallas, and they got back together. And now they want to move us. And that was my senior year. So I'm just like, okay, you guys did all of this. And now I'm the one that's going to get pushed. That's not fair. So I told
Yeah.
my sister, please let me live with you. So she did. But when you're not being guided and you're not being looked at, and you think you know everything in the world, you think you're an adult. I made some choices that I don't regret, but I wasn't proud of. And I graduated school top 10% of my class still, but I ended up getting pregnant. I ended up not going to the college that I wanted to. And at that time, my happiness was, okay, I want to get married, I want to have my kid, and I want to build a family. That's what I thought. But going into it, we're both so young. We don't know our feelings. We don't understand what it is to be married. We don't know how to be parents, new parents. So it's a lot of fighting, as far as well, you can't do this, you can't do that. And And then I completely left my passion of, you know, going back to school, and I devoted myself as a wife and as a household, you know, stay at home mom, and I was not happy. I've never been the person that wants to just stay home all the time. Now I love being with my kid, but I had to find a way of, you know, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? So there, it was very hard because my parents were in Fort Worth. So I'm sorry, in Houston. So I didn't have any family with me. So I didn't talk to anybody when the problems that I had when I was married. I kept to myself, and I always, I think that's what I learned, that you need to show people that it's not always so easy, so they can feel like, you know, that's relatable. I can overcome this
Mhm.
too. And I didn't understand that before. I used to just keep everything to myself. And now
Everybody's afraid of the uncomfortable
I'm
feeling.
struggling. Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
Now I tell everybody, oh, I'm struggling, but I got this, you know, but I'm going to do it. I'm struggling, but, you know, positive, but understand that it's okay to vent. It's okay to tell people how you're feeling. It's not complaining if you are just venting, you know. So, you know, once I was 23 when me and my ex-husband separated. And to me, that was the biggest pain that I had in my life. And I
Mhm.
tell you that to this
'Cause it
day,
was
that
your
was the biggest.
life.
It was he was my whole world, and I was so young, you know, growing
Mhm.
up, not having that love that you think that you should get from your parents, as far as you know, that unconditional love. You have the love, but they're there and they're providing and they're, you know, great parents, but not that connection of, you know, that love that you feel like you should have, so you look for it somewhere else. And
Mhm.
then I thought I found it, you know, with my ex-husband. And you know, I'm not going to say we weren't happy, but we weren't doing what we were supposed to do. And you know, we were fighting too much. And I told myself, we're doing the same thing my parents did whenever
Mhm.
I was young, and look how
Mhm.
it affected me. I don't want to do that to my kid. He didn't want to do that to our son either. He has great parents. They never fought in front of him. I had the opposite, as far as, you know, the yelling. I would do all the yelling, and I didn't want to react like that. I wanted to be better than that and show my son better. So we separated, and I came to Houston. And I think that is when I literally hit rock bottom. I was like, I have
Mhm.
nothing, as far as I only came with my car, my son, and I knew my mom was gonna let me live with her. But I always wanted to be that person that I don't want to ask anybody for anything. You know, his dad has always helped, but I didn't want to ask him for anything additionally. You know, I wanted
Mhm.
to do it on my own, and I wanted to show my son, like, you can do whatever you want to do in life.
Mhm.
So I got really busy. He was in league baseball. I was in school. I was working, and I would play volleyball, recreational. I was really busy because I didn't want to think about anything. And God guided me the whole way to this, because
Mhm.
from there I overcame those obstacles. And I told myself, you know, I'm gonna be better than this. I'm gonna do something for myself. And I didn't know it was gonna be this, but I always aspired for more. And when you do, things start to line up for you. It does. You don't have to know what you're gonna do all the time, but
Mhm.
if you give it your all, and then you really are honest with yourself and say, I'm doing this for the right reasons, things will align for you.
Oh my goodness. Elia, I hear you say, what I hear is it's one, it's never too late to correct the mistakes that you made. And it's never too late to follow a passion that you have.
Mm-hmm.
So I hear you loud and clear. I hear you loud and clear. I feel like thank you for that message. I feel like you're talking to that 13, 14-year old Angelica that was struggling and going through those places also, you know, that oh my God. Oh shit. Okay.
No,
Okay.
trust me. I talk, I guess, and that's why I feel like I understand my people, because
Mhm.
I've been in situations where I know that it's hard. It might look different for everybody, but the struggle is still a struggle, you know.
Mm.
It might be a different struggle for you, but overcoming those obstacles, it's what's gonna, you know, make people get to their destination. So I talk to kids how I will wish somebody would have talked to me and sat me down and told, like, Elvia, what are you doing? You need to get back on it. Don't do this, don't do that, but in a way where we're respecting that they have opinions as well.
Oh my goodness. You've I think you've reignited like a little fire in me. I don't know
Oh,
what to
thank
do.
you for
Yeah,
saying that.
I don't know what to do with myself right now because I'm thinking and I want to like write my thoughts on this and you've been really good at explaining a lot of the things that I could never, um, by words explain. I could show you, I could tell you with my mind, and I could. Okay, okay. I
Well,
need
if you
some
need to
time.
take some time to write it down, I'm okay because you can tell I start talking and I talk on one topic, one another one because there's so many thoughts in my
It
head. There's
is.
so many
It
things
is.
that I want to tell people, and
But it's
sometimes
easy
it
to
may not come out.
follow.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, sometimes I'm like, okay, okay, stick to the question, stick to the question. No, but there's this
No.
other thing that I have to say that
Yeah.
it sounds good too.
Yeah. This is everything that I think everybody needs to listen to. So yeah. Okay. We've been talking for 50 minutes. Okay, Elvia, I know you
Wow,
have a.
sorry.
Yeah, no, no, that's my fault because I still have like 10,000 questions and I don't think we have enough time. I
If you want to continue me on here, I'm fine. If you want to do a second,
I
we
do.
can. Whatever you
I do,
want.
because I'm already thinking I'm gonna be there in July, so I'm gonna go to your place of work. I'm your school. I'm gonna show up, and I'm gonna show up with a few friends. So like that, we just
Awesome.
if you could like give us a tour, and if you could talk to them too, the way like I like this a lot. Like I am
Thank
very.
you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. But even I don't want to let you go just yet. I have a question though.
No,
So
definitely. I have time. Don't worry about it. Don't. I know my students are in class right now with their instructor, and so I'm good. If anything
you're
happens,
good.
I'll let you
Okay.
know. But
Okay.
I got
Okay.
time.
Okay. So do you I asked this, do you see yourself as a leader? And if you do, why?
I didn't see myself as a leader. I'm starting to see myself as a leader, and I think it's because not because I haven't been leading. It's because we don't think about the things that we're doing it when it just comes naturally.
Hmm.
Um, I've always been in a position. I would say not always, but a majority of the time I've been in positions of leadership, and I don't think about it. It's just I'm a very outgoing person. I'm a very big risk taker. I'm a very outspoken person, and I feel like that's what a lot of leaders have in them that makes them leaders, not because of those specific traits, but they have those traits as well. But leading people, it's not just having that. You have to, how are you empowering others? How are you helping others? How are you trying to do things better for the community, for your organization, for your church, for your friends? To me, that's a leader. So now that I'm doing a lot more looking into myself and taking a leadership women in leadership class, a master class, I see that what, I am a leader. I am trying to lead this school and this generation to better themselves, to maybe hopefully impact the youth, underserved youth, to be able to do something and have less kids going to juvenile, going into gangs, dying because they're in the wrong place at the wrong time or with the wrong people. Get them something to be busy in that they are passionate about. So now, yes, I definitely would say I consider myself a leader. I also do a lot of women empowerment networking because I love to be able to hear people's stories and just how they overcame obstacles and not being handed to them. If it was handed to you, if you, that's good. I'm not saying anything bad about it. I'm just saying that when it's not handed to you, you just feel like you just value it a lot more. And that's what I try to to do when I go to talk to other women, that I want to hear about how amazing you are. Like, you guys want
Hmm.
to hear about me, and then I'm like, no, I want to hear about you, because I talk about me all the time. I can go for days about me, but I want to know, and that drives me too. That
Yeah.
is what helps me. Like, oh, look at all these amazing things these people are doing, and you start thinking like, you can do more, you can help
Yeah.
more. And now
Yeah.
my passion was to have a school, but now my passion has shifted to a business, a school, and hopefully in the future be able to open up a nonprofit for
Hmm.
underserved youth.
Hmm.
And I didn't think about that. And then now I want to get into the politics about higher education, because I see well, why can't I get into it? Why can't I? I'm the one running the school, seeing it firsthand. I'd be a great speaker to talk to them, and let them know exactly what is going on in our schools and going on with our youth. So it's leading me to a different path. I see it, and sometimes I get scared because I think about it. I'm just like, am I prepared for everything that's going to come for it? And then I have people
Yeah.
telling me all the time,
That
girl.
what your youth and that resilience that you set up for yourself. Good God, nothing can break me more than what my childhood did to me. Fuck that. If I can overcome that, there's a lot of things that I can overcome. And I didn't
Hmm.
understand that. I thought it was my youth that was holding me back. I didn't know it was my youth that was pushing me forward. So I
Really.
there's a lot. There's a lot that you have a you're definitely passionate about a lot of the things you do, and it sounds like you've done the work. You've done the you've done the research. You've done the things that you needed to do to be able to be the expert in this, like, this field, the expert in the
Mhm.
business management of things, the expert of the kids who come out of these neighborhoods that need this kind of help, that need these kind of schools, that need this kind of guidance, that need those electricians from other places that had 40 plus years to be like, yeah, I was there just like you. And this is how I
Mhm.
did it. Um, this is amazing, Elia. Like I said, I need to go to the school where you were at, and where it's located, where it's at. And I don't know why. I just need to go. Like, I need to meet you in person.
We invite you. I love giving tours. Anybody that wants to come see the school,
Hmm.
I want people to see what our labs look like, what our students are learning, what they're doing with their hands. They all get their tool bags, their books, everything's included tuition. We don't charge additionally anything because we're already helping kids that are underserved getting a scholarship. Why are we going to charge an application fee? Why are we going to charge a tool fee? Why are we going to No, where these kids are not our ticket for us to get out of poverty. These kids are kids that trying to get out of poverty. So
Yeah.
if we're going to be, leaders, and we're going to be having a business that's approved, let's take care of people, because that's just the right thing to do.
Hmm.
We don't need to, charge them $10,000 extra for something that you can charge them less. And we have to be better about. There's a lot of ugly in higher education, but there's a lot of amazing things with higher
It's
education.
good.
So
Yeah.
my thing is that we have to talk a little bit more on how we're holding each other accountable here in this industry, as colleges, as training centers, as vocational schools, as university. Where are we sending this money? Who's getting this money, and how are we helping our kids with this money? Because it's not just about getting $100,000 grant as a school, and then you pocket a 60,000 of it. 40,000 for the kids. No, that's for the kids. We need to help the kids. We need to get them better material. We need to get better equipment. We need to get them better resources, transportation. Things that they don't have, and that's what stops them to go to school.
Oh, shit. I already hear you on those floors of like those. I love this. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Elvia, thank you so much for taking the time and talking to me here today. I love what you're doing. You're very passionate about the things that you do. You've reignited a lot within me. I'm already thinking, like, where can I take you to speak to young girls? Where can I take you to speak to young people in the community? How can I bring you here where I'm at to get to talk to people here all the way in Arkansas? Like, my mind is running 10,000 miles an
Oh, and
hour.
they have
Go ahead.
amazing schools in Arkansas that, because I'm always, aside, I know that
Uh-huh.
I'm talking a lot already.
No,
No,
no, no, you're
but
fine. You're fine.
aside from me doing this, I always tell everybody, if you're 17 to 24 or in a low income community, reach out to me if you want to know about scholarships through the Department of Labor for high growth skill sets. It's not going to benefit me. If you're not going to be an electrician, it's not going to be benefiting me, but I want to help people find their passion, and I want to help them connect to scholarships that are going to help them, facilitate them to be able to find that passion. So kids in, anywhere in the United States, there's opportunities more than there's ever been. If I would have known what I know now, I would have been a lawyer. I know I would have been a lawyer. I would have been probably half the depth that a lot of lawyers already come out with. But because we don't know about the resources that the states are approving, our local boards are approving, our legislation is approving, that does help our kids, but nobody knows about it. Especially when your parents don't speak English,
Mhm.
they don't know this information. And our kids, they tell them at school, and they're like, okay, that sounds boring, I'm not telling my mom about it. So then the mom is like, I don't have any money for you to go to school, and the kids are, oh, we don't have any money to go to school. but yeah, you got a pamphlet saying that there's a scholarship that pays all your school. So it's about telling people about it, and that's one thing that I do. Reach out to me on social media if you want to know about more about scholarships, because I can connect you to scholarships, and it's not going to be just school here. There's thousands of hundred thousands of schools in Texas alone, and
Mm-hmm.
then in the United States even more. So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to know about that, just send me a message, because that to me, it's a bigger purpose. It's not just about, like I said, a business. It's about helping
Yeah.
people in however it looks.
So if I wanted to find your school, where could I find you? If I'm in
Well, we
Houston, or if
are
I
on
want to go to
Instagram.
Houston, I want to go to your school because like I want to go to your school. How can I find you?
Well, we are located at 9700 Almeda Genoa Road here in Houston, Texas, and that is our location, our physical location. But on social media, you can find us on Instagram at Texas Tech Trade, and on Facebook at Texas Tech Trade School.
Mm-hmm.
TikTok, the same at Texas Tech Trade, and our website, texastechtrade.com. So it stays consistent, so people don't forget about it. And and then our number here is 817-304-3543. That's my number. You can, call me, message me, or any social media outlets you can as well, because I'm always responding. It might not respond within, 20 minutes, but I will respond once I'm not busy doing something. Then I can definitely respond, connect you to the right people for scholarships. I work with a lot of nonprofit organizations themselves, like Project Grad, um, Work and Learn, Work Texas. Those are programs that offer additional resources to our students that they can go work for solutions. So I'm just, my thing is, I wanted to learn everything there was to know to tell my people about it. Now I get to do it even more because now it's mine.
Well,
So I make the rules now.
yeah. That's what. Hey, when you run it, you get to make the rules. You get to say what's what.
I can tell everybody, okay, no, we're not going to do it that way. We're going to give this kid a gas card. We don't need to get it approved by 30 people just so him can come to school the next day. No, we're going to give that gas card. Oh, I'm going to give him $20 because he needs to get to school. So
Yeah.
that's the beauty of being able to make those decisions.
Yeah. This is so goddamn badass. Elvia, again, thank you so much for taking the time and talk to me out of your busy day. Muchas gracias. But before you go, can you do me a favor? Can you wave at my camera? Can you wave at the your camera? Thank you. And I'll see you next time.